Okay, Mr. Governor, few months ago, you had the opportunity to borrow $100 million. Even before the Anambra State House of Assembly, you stoutly refused because you've not seen the need for that borrowing. But recently, uh, it was in the media that you want to join some other governors to borrow a whopping over 245 billion naira, right?
Yes.
And we wondered.
All I can say roundly is that the report in Daily Trust about Anambra planning to borrow 245 billion naira to fund its 2024 budget is fake news. It's fake news. I don't know where they got that. Try to find out from the rest of my government and where this is coming from and who said that, and if there is any such plan that I am not aware of, then it is certainly fake news. I don't know what that is. And let's be clear. I want to make 2 points about borrowing. I have a view about borrowing, about government borrowing. Every enterprise, private, government, and whatever that wants to scale up activities shortly, if you look at the cost of funds, look at the opportunity cost of those funds, and the time value of money, it might make sense to borrow today, provide goods and services, and that tomorrow the economy will generate resources to pay back. So borrowing in itself is not a bad idea. Every major company that has ever developed and then grown big lives on some form of debt or the other. So it's not debt, borrowing. It's not a dirty word, and you find there's literally no government in the world that doesn't borrow. So let's put it clear. But this administration, under my watch, we have a particular view about borrowing, and we have very narrow, stringent criteria for borrowing. We're not just going to borrow just to finance this or finance that. In 2022, the House of Assembly, when we had our supplementary budget, actually approved for us to borrow 100 billion in 2022. Till this moment, we haven't borrowed a kobo out of that. Last year, 2023, we had implicit in our budget about 90-something billion deficit, but we didn't borrow a kobo of that. This year, we also have a budget deficit of about 121 billion. Until this moment, we have not borrowed one kobo of that. And the reason is simple. We have been working on projects and programs that will be bankable. We're insisting that we borrow for bankable projects, for projects that will have the probability and possibility of generating the returns to pay back the debt. That is, we're not borrowing for consumption. We're not borrowing for anything else, and so on and so on. I mean, we borrow to create, to add to value. And so far that we're working on some major infrastructural facilities that will generate some resource payback. The moment we are ready for those, that's when we will gladly and proudly approach the market, to be able to scale up our transformational trajectory. But so far, not one. This is, my almost in the third year now. I've spent 2 years in my third year, and we still have not borrowed a dime. If you also realize, recently, there was a publication of states receiving 438 billion from the World Bank, the World Bank loan. Anambra's name is not on that list. We deliberately opted out of that loan. And someday I will explain why we took a decision to opt out of that loan. But this is not for this moment. But all I'm trying to say is that we take the issue of borrowing very, very seriously. And we're not going to borrow unless I can show you where that money will go and what value is going to add, not just today, but tomorrow, and increase the capacity of the state to be able to pay the loan back. And so what my attention was just drawn to this as I was walking away after the broadcast of on our 33rd anniversary. And I thought it was important to clarify this because it sounded to me like a joke. And like I said, that report by Daily Trust that Anambra is planning to borrow 245 billion to finance 2024 budget is nothing short of blatant fake news. And everybody must regard it as such. Even in our budget, the deficit we'll have is 121. So how could you be planning to borrow 245 when you have a budget deficit of 121? I mean, that makes it ridiculous in the first instance. So I don't know where they got their stuff from. Whatever they got it from, whatever source that gave it to them is pure fake news. Thank you.